Today I invite you to pause, to look inside yourself, and to open the door to a journey that not only transforms what you see outside, but most importantly, what you feel inside. And now tell me honestly, how many times have you wanted to change, and yet you end up reacting the same, feeling the same, and living the same? It's not a lack of intention, it's something much deeper, and today we're going to discover it. This isn't just the beginning of a video, it's the first step toward a new way of living, of thinking, and above all of being. But before we move on, I want to take you to a very simple, almost automatic moment, that first breath you take when you wake up. Has it happened to you that you open your eyes and the first thing that appears in your mind isn't gratitude or excitement, but a problem, a pending debt, a conversation that hurt, a situation that hasn't been resolved? What we call thoughts are much more than fleeting ideas. They are active neuronal circuits, emotions encapsulated in memories that your brain reproduces without you asking it to, and it does so because it has been trained. Thus, if every morning you think the same thing, you feel the same thing, and if you feel the same thing, your body believes you are living the same thing. You are reliving the past over and over again. Think of it like this. Your brain is like a file, and every time you remember your problems, you are taking out that same file with the same emotions, sadness, anguish, anger, disappointment. And so without realizing it, you start the day conditioned by what already was, not by what could be. Now stop and reflect for a moment. If the past continues to dictate how you think today, and your present doesn't change, then what are you really building? A repetition, a predictable copy of yesterday, disguised as today. You get up and without realizing it, you're already trapped in an invisible cycle. The same routine, the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same version of you. And what do we do right after waking up? Almost out of inertia, we grab our cell phone, messages, emails, social networks, and within seconds we plug back into the same old pattern, same people, same stimuli, and the same emotional reactions. This is how autopilot takes control. You're not choosing your life, you're repeating it. But this routine doesn't just consume our time, it consumes our inner freedom. Every day you repeat the same thoughts, the same emotions, and the same reactions. You are training your mind and your body to live on autopilot. And here's something that almost no one stops to think about. By the time we reach 95% of who we are is no longer conscious. It's a memory, a program repeated over and over again. Memorized behaviors, emotions that activate on their own, inherited beliefs, habits that we no longer question. The routine becomes your identity. You no longer act from your present, you act from who you were, from what your body remembers, not from what your soul yearns for. Here's where the great dilemma appears. Perhaps you've already heard it. Thoughts create your reality, but how are you going to think differently if what you feel inside hasn't changed? Therein lies the true blockage. If your emotion is still anchored to the past, to fear, to sadness, to I'm not enough, then even if you try to think positively, your body doesn't believe you, because the body also thinks, but it does so with chemistry, with emotional memory. It's like trying to move forward with the handbrake on. For example, imagine you want to start a new project. You visualize yourself as successful, motivated, excited, but as soon as you take the first step, that uncomfortable feeling appears. A little voice inside you says, "This doesn't feel right, I'm exhausted, better tomorrow." And it's not laziness, it's your body trying to return you to what it knows. Even if what it knows is precisely what you want to leave behind, because the body prefers the familiar, even if it hurts, to the unknown, even if it liberates you. Now tell me with total honesty, how many times have you felt that you want to change, but something inside you sabotages you just when you start? That something isn't you, it's the conditioned self that you're about to transform. The resistance to change isn't just in your thoughts, it's in your biology. And here a crucial concept appears: the analytical mind, that part of you that filters, doubts, evaluates, and often blocks. It is the barrier between what you consciously desire and what is programmed in your subconscious. Do you want to truly transform your life? Then you need to cross that barrier. And you won't do it with willpower or motivational speeches, but with presence, with connection. And how is that achieved? Through meditation. Because only in silence can you hear what really matters. But here's something we usually do. We wait for a crisis to awaken, a diagnosis, a breakup, a blow that shakes everything. And yes, pain transforms, but you can also choose to change from inspiration, from gratitude, from enthusiasm. Think of it like this. What if today were the day you decided to change, not because you're broken, but because you no longer want to keep forgetting how powerful you are? Most people don't live, they survive. According to studies, more than 70% of people are trapped in a constant state of alert, as if danger is about to appear at any moment. They anticipate the worst, imagine negative scenarios, and their body responds. The heart speeds up, breathing shortens, and the body, without you realizing it, releases stress hormones as if you were in the midst of a real threat. Although there is no danger, this is how stress becomes a silent drug. We get used to feeling bad, to living from conflict, to using problems as an excuse not to move forward. And the hardest part is that when the time finally comes to change, when a real opportunity to live differently appears, the body panics. It clings to the past like a castaway to a board, not because it's good, but because it's familiar. Do you know why? Because for the conditioned mind, known misery is more comfortable than uncertain freedom. But here is where everything can begin to change. You don't need to wait to hit rock bottom. You just need to be willing to let go of that board and trust that on the other side there is a version of you that already knows how to swim. All true change begins with a pause that doesn't sound, but is felt. A pause that takes you out of the world's noise to listen to yourself again. We live so distracted, so connected to everything external, that we have forgotten what it feels like to be in silence with oneself. But if you really want to transform your life, the first thing you need is not to do more, it's to turn off. Turn off the cell phone. Close the computer. Let go of the need to be available for everyone, and start being present for yourself. Find a quiet space. Close your eyes and simply breathe. There, in that silence that at first is uncomfortable, but then liberates, something you had forgotten begins to awaken your power to create. Because in silence you don't just rest. In silence you redesign yourself. There you can ask yourself the questions that really matter. Am I living from a vision of the future, or from the memories of my past? Who do I want to be when I stop being who I learned to be? What do I really want to experience in this life, and what am I waiting for to start? These are not just questions to think about. They are keys that open doors inside you. They are small sparks that every time they ignite, they begin to change your internal map. Because every time you dare to question yourself with honesty, every time you choose to look inward instead of reacting outward, you are creating new connections in your brain. You are deactivating the autopilot and beginning to draw new neural routes that do not lead you to the past, but to a future version of you. It's like planting seeds. Every conscious question you ask is a seed that falls into the fertile ground of your mind. And although at first you don't see anything, if you continue to water those seeds with intention, attention, and emotion, you will see a new way of thinking, of feeling, and of being flourish. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a garden, one that has been growing without much awareness for years. Beautiful flowers coexist there, as well as weeds that repeat themselves like negative thoughts, limiting beliefs or memories that you no longer need to carry. When you decide to disconnect from the external noise, even if only for a few minutes, it's as if you take the tools in your hands. You can start cleaning, pulling out what no longer nourishes you, and planting new seeds. But it's not enough to just plant ideas. You must teach your body what it will feel like to live in that new garden, what it feels like to wake up in peace, what it feels like to live with gratitude, with excitement, with confidence in life. That is the key. Feel first to create later. Before you get up, breathe deeply and don't leave until that emotion begins to sprout inside you as if you were already there. Because when your body starts to feel it, your mind starts to believe it. And that, believe me, is much more powerful than repeating empty affirmations without emotional connection. Close your eyes for an instant. You are not here just to imagine something beautiful and cross your fingers hoping it will come true. You are here to rehearse your new life from within, because this is not a mental game. It is a powerful, deeply transformative practice backed by science. A practice that, when repeated with intention, can change your chemistry, your biology, and your destiny. Now imagine your future self, but not that idealized version that seems unattainable, but that you who has already succeeded, the one who has already overcome that fear, the one who already feels complete, secure, free, connected. Observe her. How does she move? How does she express herself? What kind of decisions does she make every day? Visualize her with clarity, not just what she does, but what she feels inside. What are her most frequent thoughts? From what energy does she get up every morning? That mental image is not a fantasy. It is a neurological rehearsal, a training that tells your brain, this is what we are going to do from now on. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes, because your mind begins to recognize that future as if it were already happening. When you practice this with intention, something fascinating happens. Your brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's intensely imagined. From a neuronal point of view, it's as if you're already living that new reality. By repeating it, you are training your mind to act, feel, and respond from that future you desire, not from the past you want to leave behind. Every time you mentally rehearse your future, you are reprogramming your mind with a new direction. It's as if you are giving new coordinates to your internal system. Your brain begins to recognize that destination and to create the paths to get there. You are no longer functioning with old responses. You are activating a new system of internal orientation, one that guides you not from what you were, but from what you are choosing to be. And the more you practice that state, the more natural it becomes, until without realizing it, you begin to behave, think, and feel like that future version of you, even if it has not yet arrived, because for your mind it is already happening. Imagining is the first step, but to create something new, you first have to empty the old. You cannot build a new version of yourself on top of thoughts that sabotage you. Do something simple but powerful. Take a piece of paper and observe yourself with honesty. What ideas do you repeat to yourself without realizing it? What limiting phrases have lived in your mind for too long? Maybe they sound like this: I'm not capable. That's not for me. The same thing always happens to me. Those phrases are not truths. They are patterns, and you can only change them when you make them conscious. Because what you don't name controls you, but what you recognize, you can transform. Your emotions are the language with which you speak to the future, and what you choose to feel today creates what you will experience tomorrow. If you yearn for health, but live in a constant state of stress, you are sending contradictory signals. If you desire abundance but define yourself from scarcity, that will be the frequency you emit. And if you seek love, but feed the fear of abandonment, how can something new arrive if you keep vibrating with the old? This is where many people stumble. They want a different life, but they don't let go of the emotionality that keeps them trapped. Real change begins when you teach your body what that future will feel like, and you practice it so much that it begins to believe that it is already happening, because when you feel it, you create it, and when you sustain it, you attract it. Pause and look within yourself. What emotions are you carrying that no longer belong to you? Maybe it's guilt, that voice that reminds you of past mistakes as if you had no right to heal. Maybe it's resentment, an open wound that won't let you move forward, or insecurity, fear, shame. All those emotions are like chemical echoes of the past, emotional residues that your body has memorized. As long as you live within them, you will continue to create more of the same, because you cannot design a new future from an energy that belongs to yesterday. Ask yourself with honesty, what emotion am I willing to let go of to make room for what I do want to feel? And this is where science and consciousness meet. When you learn to observe your thoughts without reacting, a process called metacognition is activated. In that instant, you stop being what you think, and you become the one who observes it. You are no longer trapped in the emotion, you are present, you are awake, you are pure consciousness. And from there, from that internal space of clarity, is where your true power is born, the power to choose differently. There's something we often overlook. The body, when you don't re-educate it, can take control of your life without you realizing it. If you have spent years feeling the same emotions, stress, sadness, anxiety, frustration, the body gets used to them, memorizes them, and begins to recreate them on its own, as if it were an automatic reflex. You no longer need an external reason to feel bad. Your body does it for you. You no longer think to feel. You feel because you are programmed to do so. It's like driving a car on automatic. You don't even realize you're following the same emotional route as always. And that is the true challenge of change. Breaking with that invisible programming that your body repeats without asking. This is the true challenge of transforming yourself. It's not enough to think differently one day if your body continues to feel the same as always. And it's not that it's against you. It's not sabotage, it's memory. The body has been trained for years to react in a specific way, and now it does so out of habit. It has become addicted to emotions that you may no longer want, but that are part of the identity you built without realizing it. That's why change is uncomfortable, because you are leaving behind not just thoughts but sensations that made you feel like you for a long time. We live in a kind of collective hypnosis. We were made to believe that happiness is out there in the next achievement, in the next purchase, in an external change that promises to fill the void. Change your image, your car, your job, and your life will change. That's what they repeat to us. But the truth is different. Nothing external transforms what you carry inside if you don't change first. Peace, fullness, and abundance are not achieved. They are built from within, because the world doesn't give you the experience. It only reflects the state you are vibrating in. Your body doesn't change with empty words. It's not enough to repeat what you want. If you don't really feel it, change happens when you close your eyes, and without having anything yet, you begin to feel as if you already have everything: joy, abundance, freedom. When you sustain those emotions from the present, your unconscious mind begins to believe that you are already living that future, and something extraordinary happens. You are not just imagining, you are molding your biology with energy and emotion. In various studies of people who healed from illnesses, overcame profound traumas, or rebuilt their lives from scratch, a common pattern was found. They all crossed an internal threshold. They made a firm decision to stop being the same person as always. And step by step they created a new way of being, a new identity, a new life, because this is a truth we cannot ignore. Your personality creates your personal reality. So if you want a different life, it's not enough to desire it. You have to become someone different, because you cannot change what you live. if you continue to think, feel, and act the same. Most people wait for something to change to start feeling good. They wait to have money to feel abundant, a partner to feel loved, or a miracle to feel grateful. But that is not the formula. The key is not to wait. The key is to emotionally anticipate what you want. Feel abundant before seeing the money. Love yourself before someone arrives. Be grateful before the miracle manifests. That is creating. That is living from the quantum field where you first feel and then you see it. Remember this: every choice you make creates a chain. Your choices form your behaviors mold your experiences, and those experiences awaken emotions that end up feeding the same thoughts. Thus the cycle is born, one that repeats itself over and over until you decide to break it. Only by breaking that pattern can you open the door to a different life, a life that is not a repetition of the past, but a conscious creation of your future. Where you put your attention, you put your energy, and many times without realizing it, you are investing your most valuable energy in what already happened, in wounds that are still open, in problems that are repeated, in fears that were born years ago and that still govern your decisions. Of course, if your attention is in the past, your energy also gets trapped there. You are feeding a story that has already completed its cycle, a story that you should have already closed to start writing a new one. But when you choose to focus your attention on the future you desire, something begins to change. When you visualize with clarity how you want to feel, what you long to live, and who you are ready to become, your energy stops sustaining the past and begins to build your future. And that simple act, which might seem small, has an immense impact. Your body, your mind, your energy field, everything begins to align with that new intention. Billions of atoms reorganize as if the universe were responding internally to your decision. We're going there. Everything begins with an internal decision, but it needs direction and emotion. If you want to transform your life, it's not enough to desire it in the abstract. You have to have clarity and feel it strongly. Think of this as a recipe. Your mind needs a clear image, and your body needs an emotion to back it up. First, define precisely what you want. Don't say, "I want to be happy," because that's vague and the universe doesn't understand vagueness. Instead, say, "I want to wake up every morning with peace in my chest, excitement for what's to come, and gratitude for who I am." That's intention, that's direction. And now add the emotion. What would you do if that were already real? Because when you think with clarity and feel with intensity, your reality begins to respond. And now comes the second ingredient, emotion. Not just any emotion, an elevated emotion. Gratitude, love, freedom, joy. Those sensations that expand the chest and connect you with the deepest part of yourself. Why are they so important? Because they are what give life to your intention. Without emotion, what you want remains in words. But when you truly feel, that intention becomes a powerful energy capable of moving realities. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you think. It responds to what you vibrate. And when you enter that state, you are no longer just a body, you are energy in motion. And from there you can influence matter and redesign your life. Most people live waiting for something external to change so they can feel better. When I have money, I will feel abundant. When love arrives, I will feel complete. When I achieve something great, then I will be worth it. But that is not the way life is truly transformed. The real change happens the other way around. First you have to feel it. First you have to be it. Feel abundant, even if there are no numbers to confirm it. Feel loved, even if you are alone. Feel worthy without having to prove anything. Because when you emotionally become the person you want to be, your frequency changes. In the field responds by bringing you experiences that are aligned with that energy. It's not about waiting to feel, it's about feeling to attract. Memory ties you to the past. Consciousness frees you in the present. The difference is simple but powerful. Living from memory is repeating. Living from consciousness is creating. If you really want to change, you have to stop reacting from those emotions that your body learned to repeat: guilt, fear, insecurity. All of that is part of an old version of you. The true awakening comes when you understand that you can observe what you think, feel what arises, and still choose something different. That's where the change begins. Not all at once, not from one day to the next, but step by step, and it is possible, and you are not alone. Many people have already achieved it, and you can also rebuild your life. Start by rebuilding who you believe you are. Think about this. Your current identity, that way you think, speak, feel, and react, is the foundation on which you have created your reality. If, for example, you tend to say things like, "I always find it hard, I'm not good at that, that's just the way I am," then without realizing it, you are reinforcing a limited version of yourself. Now ask yourself with honesty, how do I think every day? How do I talk about myself? How do I feel most of the time? If those answers are not aligned with the life you want, it is not life that has to change. It is you who must transform yourself. You cannot build a different future from an identity that was trapped in the past. You must become your own architect. Design with intention what you think, choose with consciousness what you give your energy to, and transform those emotions that no longer represent you. Because when you do, you are not only creating a new mind, you are reprogramming your biology, and with it a completely different life. Today you know with certainty, you are not trapped in your past. Your body can unlearn the old, your mind can be reprogrammed, and your reality can be transformed because you are not a simple spectator of life. You are its creator, a conscious designer of your destiny. And never forget this. The best way to predict your future is to create it, not from the known but from the unknown. Dare to enter that invisible space every day with a clear intention and an elevated emotion, and you will see how your world begins to change from the inside out. Thank you for making it this far. Thank you for giving yourself this moment, for opening your mind and your heart to a new way of living that is more conscious, more free, more you. If this content resonated with you, if something inside you clicked, I would love to read you. Leave me a comment. Tell me what part touched your soul, what you discovered about yourself. I am reading every message and responding with all my love. This is just the beginning. There is much more valuable content waiting for you on the channel to help you awaken your inner power and live from your true potential. If you liked this video, give me a like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss everything that's coming, because it's coming strong. Share this message with someone who needs it, because together we are creating an awakened and transformative community. With all my affection, thank you for being here. Yeah. You've now taken the first step on a journey that, while deeply personal, is also universally understood. The realization that our personal reality is a reflection of our internal state is not just a philosophical idea. It's a fundamental principle of how we operate as human beings. The old you, the one trapped in the cycle of repeating thoughts and emotions, was running on a program, a set of instructions memorized by your mind and body. This program was built from past experiences, fears, and limiting beliefs. It kept you in a state of emotional and mental stasis, making it feel like change was impossible. The comfort of the familiar, even if painful, was a stronger pull than the promise of the unknown. But you've learned that you are not a victim of your biology or your past. Your brain is not a static archive. It is a dynamic organ capable of being rewired. You have the power to create new neural pathways, new routes that lead to a different future. This process begins with intention and elevated emotion. By consciously deciding who you want to be, and then feeling as if you are already that person, you begin to send new signals to your body and the universe. This is not about empty words or wishful thinking. It's a deep embodied practice. When you close your eyes and feel the peace, joy, and abundance you desire, your body starts to produce the chemicals that correspond to those emotions. It starts to believe it's already living that reality. This is the moment you transition from being a prisoner of your past to becoming the architect of your future. The real challenge is not in the initial moment of inspiration, but in the daily practice of it. It's easy to feel a surge of motivation after hearing an idea that resonates, but true transformation happens in the quiet, consistent moments. It's in the choice you make to breathe deeply, instead of reacting to stress. It's in the decision to visualize your future self for 5 minutes before you get out of bed. It's in the conscious effort to catch a negative thought and replace it with a positive one, not just once, but every time it arises. This is how you begin to dismantle the old programming. Every conscious choice is a step towards liberation. You are teaching your body and your mind a new language, a language of possibility and creation, not of repetition and limitation. As you continue this practice, you'll begin to notice subtle shifts. You'll find yourself reacting differently to old triggers. People and situations that once drained you might no longer have the same power. This is because you are changing your energy, and the world is simply reflecting that new frequency back to you. The money, the relationship, the health, these are not things you have to chase. They are the natural consequences of you becoming the person who is aligned with them. This journey is not about getting something. It is about becoming someone. It's about shedding the old identity that no longer serves you and stepping into the powerful, creative being you were always meant to be. The best part is that you don't have to wait for an external event to feel good. You have the power to create that feeling now. It's already within you.